I'd like to call the October 25th City Council meeting to order. We'll begin with the Pledge of Allegiance. Could we have the sheriff give the Pledge of Allegiance? Oh.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay. Alrighty, Pledge of Allegiance. Roll call. Could we have a roll call?
Councilmember Lohman,
Here.
Mayor Pro Tem Douglas,
Present.
Councilmember Hilberg,
Here.
Councilmember McCauley, here, and Mayor Burris is absent.
Next to the approval of the agenda order, does anybody want to pull or change the order of the agenda? No, see, anybody from the audience want to pull or change the order of agenda? No. Seeing that, do I hear a motion to approve the order?
Move to approve.
Second.
All those opposed? Abstain? Motion carries. Approval of the order. Next, we have the statement of conflict of interest.
No conflict.
No, we take more than $250 from anybody we don't.
Okay. No. Okay, so I guess we have to do that every week.
Apparently.
Oh, okay, so that's
Yes, you do, every meeting.
every meeting. Was that Mike?
Yeah.
Mick, how about taking rides lately? He's not answering.
It's me. Yes, you need to do that every meeting.
No, what I asked you was, have you taken any bribes lately? In the last,
No, it's been a couple of weeks.
okay, next is,
No conflicts here.
okay, next is a consent calendar. Does anybody wish to pull anything from the consent calendar? Saying no. Do I hear a motion to approve the consent calendar with nothing being pulled?
I'll motion to approve it.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Abstained? Motion carries. Okay, next. What is next? Elbow me. Oh, next is our agency reports. Placer County Sheriff's Office.
Good morning, Kim. How are you?
Morning.
Or afternoon. Sorry, it's been a long day. Sergeant Kevin Griffiths, your station commander. Just a couple of quick things before I introduce our new deputy to the city of Colfax. So the weather is here. It's upon us. We've got wet roads on our way to dinner tonight, which is something we all do together. We ended up on Tokyo on a way on an accident. 18-year-old kid driving a little bit too fast for the conditions of the road. Unfortunately, went off the road into a tree. I got to tell you, the teamwork between Placer Hills Fire and Cal Fire was amazing. It took over an hour to get that kid out of that truck. They had to tunnel through the back, pretty much take the entire truck apart to get him out. He was still moving at the end of it. We were very happy for that, but he had two other passengers, his sister and a friend in the car too. So remind your kids when you get home, drive slower in this condition. The weather is upon us. It's snowing up the freeway. They're already looking at chains and doing all that, but that'll be CHP's conversation topic, unless I keep taking it away from him. Other than that, we're in full swing AO training. We did some drivers training ourselves, slow speed backing and all of that, as well as taser training today. Tonight, Melissa and I, as soon as we get done with her introduction, we're leaving back to Auburn to go to a search and rescue training. We have our big qualifications testing coming up November 4th and 5th for those volunteers, and November 18th and 19th. So we want to spend the rest of the night with them, really showing our support for them to get them through their training. So without further ado, we've had some changes. We have a new Deputy Melissa Adams, who's the second female that I'm aware of here in the city of Colfax. got to make sure we understand that. Lynn Carlton, otherwise known as Lynn North, was the first deputy. I worked with Lynn for a very short period of time, and I am totally apologetic that it got out there that Melissa was the first deputy. She was not. That was Lynn North, and I don't want to take anything away from her career. But I'm going to let Melissa come up here, tell you a little bit about herself, and I'm going to step away.
Okay, thank you.
Obviously, as you introduced me, my name is Melissa Adams. I've been an employee of Placer County for 10 years now. I've held a couple different hats along the way. I worked with welfare fraud and in-home support. I worked with the managed care unit with some troubled foster youth, doing some programs for them. And then I ended up in the front office of the jail, a correctional officer for a number of years, and I've been a deputy for going on 6. So I was born and raised here in the foothills, probably one of the last at Sutter Auburn Faith before they closed their doors. And the furthest I've ever got is Roseville, and it lasted about 9 months, and I ended up back up on the hill. It's not for me. So I am happy to be here and serving the people of this community, my community. Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you for staying local.
Yes.
Welcome.
I think that Sergeant Griffith and Deputy Adams forgot another first. That first is that Deputy Adams is the first female deputy in Colfax that's also on the sheriff's mounted patrol.
I don't know if Lynn wasn't a part of the mountain.
We'll see.
I don't want to take it away, because I know Lynn did a lot for our community and our agency, and for some reason in the back of my head, she might have been one of our mounted units, but.
So we'll put it in quotes, maybe.
Put it in quotes.
Check.
We all have to vote again.
But either way, I'm super happy. My partner, Deputy Boyer, who's actually out on a traffic stop right now. We both do the mounted unit. We both ride draft horses, and there's been some scuttlebutt about possibly having them at Winterfest this year. I think it would be just so cool to see the horses ride on the streets of Colfax.
Excellent.
That'd be awesome.
Yeah.
We'll see. Conditions,
Yeah.
you know, depending on how things play out, but if it's good weather or hopeful, with approval, we'll be out there. Look at
Mike, you are welcome. Mike has been bugging
Thank you.
us and everything
Yeah.
else we can bring to Winterfest. That looks like it's gonna be an opportunity that we can make happen, depending on the conditions for it.
That would be nice. Yeah.
Awesome.
Thank you. Next, a report from the California Highway Patrol.
Hello, Officer Jason Lyman from Gold Run CHP office. As Sergeant Griffith said earlier, we had our first chain control up today from Kingvale to DLI, which started around 2 o'clock today, and it was pretty substantial snow coming down for this early in the season. The ground is still pretty warm, so it is melting quickly, but you know, like he said, the time is here. It's going to be coming soon, and everybody needs to be thinking about that. A little bit of the stats that we had for so far this month in our office. We've issued a total of 217 citations so far. 107 of those were for exceeding the 65-mile-an-hour speed limit. 29 for expired registration. We did not have any over 100s so far this month. We had 15 total collisions that we handled. 5 were injury collisions and 10 property damage only collisions. Thankfully, no fatalities this time. We had 4 DUI arrests, 1 stolen vehicle arrest, and 1 arrest for hit and run. Main thing just to remember is especially when the weather gets coming in here, we're going to have to remember to keep up with your vehicle, make sure you got good tires, good windshield wipers, throw some extra little goodies in the car in case you get stuck on the side of the road someplace. Also, please, anytime you're up on the mountain, fill up with gas or make sure your car is charged before you head up there, because you never know when something is going to happen and you may be stuck in the middle of it for a few hours, or maybe even possibly longer. So anyway, hopefully we have a nice wet winter, but no major catastrophes this year. So any questions for me?
No.
All right. Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Have a good day.
Thank you. The next Cal Fire.
All right, good evening, council. Bob Counts, Assistant Chief with Cal Fire, Placer County Fire. Over the last 2 weeks, we've been implementing a prescribed firing operation at Mount Howell at our vegetation management program. That went off swimmingly. We did our last couple of plots last Friday with no issues whatsoever. It was a really good clean burn in there. So I'd like to thank Chief Lovelace and then Captain Kimbrell, both from Colfax Station, for the amount of planning and efforts they put into it. It takes a tremendous amount of work leading up to the burn just to be able to pull it off. So they put a lot of work into it and did an awesome job. Late last week, we had a structure fire in Shady Glen in the mobile home park. Unfortunately, the structure was a total loss. We had 2 structures on either side of it that were immediately threatened when the first engines got there, and they deployed protection lines and kept those houses safe. So also last week, we attended the American Legion first responder dinner along with the sheriff's office and our sheriff's department and the CHP. It was a great event. I know Councilmember Douglas was there as well as Mayor Burris. Great event, really well done by the American Legion, and we were honored to be part of it. Just after that, actually the engines left a little bit early because we got 2 fires that started down at Mineral Bar. Both were very suspicious in nature, but we kept them really small and we're investigating further into those causes. Lastly, early this week, we are kind of nearing the final steps of the municipal services review that's been happening over the past year now through LAFCO and their consultant AP Triton. On Monday, I did a tour with the consultant all around the fire stations of the Alta and Colfax areas, as well as some of the Auburn areas. And then Tuesday, we had our formal interview with AP Triton, the consultant, and LAFCO. So that report, I hope, should be coming out to LAFCO here shortly in the next couple of months. It's been well over a year now we've been working on it. So excited to see what that says at the end. So with that, that's all I have tonight, unless anybody has any questions.
I do have a question.
Yeah.
I know you guys lifted the burn ban for burn piles. And I know on social media, a lot of people started having a fit of it's too early, it's too early. Can you tell us what they look at to make that determination as to when to lift that?
Yeah, so we look at a lot of things. And interestingly enough, I mean, there's arguments on both sides from the public about it. We get just as many arguments about opening burning as we do why did we open burning? But we look at the totality of what happened over the fire season, where our fuel moistures are at, where the soil moistures are at, and we make the educated decision on that to open the burning in this fall window where you need a little bit of dryness to get those piles to burn right, but not too dry that they could cause escapes. Plus, we're fully staffed still. We have plenty of resources if anything does escape that we can quickly and efficiently mitigate them. And we have had a couple over the last 2 weeks, but nothing that grew to any sort of size. So we look at a lot of different factors, and that permit required burning is going to continue. We had a discussion today about it because normally we start and we call this our shoulder season, where fire season is just about wrapping up, but not quite done yet. We go to permit required burning, and then at some point during the winter, we'll open it to open burning where you don't need a permit at all. So the permit required will likely last through December. And that kind of correlates with our staffing levels. And we're going to remain fully staffed until just about Thanksgiving, where we drop to 1 engine per station. It really has no effect on either Alta or Colfax because we maintain our staffing levels at those 2 stations throughout the year. But for the rest of the unit, we're maintaining our full staffing through November, and then our 1 engine per station until basically Christmas. which is really late for us. So we're thankful to region, our CAL FIRE regions to allow us to do that. And it allows us to do more projects, vegetation management projects, pile burning, stuff like that.
Perfect. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay, thank you. Okay, next is nonprofit. Anybody from the nonprofit world? Nope. Okay. Item number 4, presentations, and we don't have any, so we move on to item 5, public hearing.
Hardly anybody here and I'm still scaring them out of the room. Finance Director steps up. Good evening, Council. Lori Van Groningen, Finance Director. Tonight, we are reviewing the annual report on mitigation impact fees. In accordance with the Mitigation Fee Act and our Colfax Municipal Code, we are required to complete an annual AB 1600 mitigation report, and Council needs to review that annual report at a noticed public hearing. At the close of the hearing tonight, the Council must determine whether the mitigation impact fee amounts continue to be reasonably related to the impact of development and whether the described public facilities and projects are still needed. The city maintains separate fund accounts for each mitigation fee type. We have 9 established funds. The report is in your packet or up on the screen there. The report outlines all revenues and expenditures for the fiscal year. During this last fiscal year, we collected fees just for a couple of the funds, but we did accrue interest earnings on all funds. The report also outlines all expenditures, and for fiscal year 23, our only expenditure made was to the downtown streetscape project, and that was to satisfy the required and approved city match for that project grant. That was really quick, that's the introduction.
Any questions, comments?
You don't need to open the hearing.
Public hearing. Any comments, questions? Anything from the public?
No one has anything online.
Anyone zooming in? That's it. Well, thank you. Closed. Okay. Okay. Council.
We're just approving the report and the numbers, not what's being done with any of this money or anything at this point,
Yeah.
correct? Okay,
Yeah.
good motion to approve. I don't have anything to say.
There.
Do I hear a second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, abstained, motion carries. Okay. We're on to item 6, public comment. Anybody from the public? Any phone calls, Marguerite? Hopefully none from Livermore.
No one has their hand raised on Zoom.
I have a question for Mick that I was going to ask him if he was here. And that is that we were told that we could not.
Well, this is public comment.
Oh, I thought it was our turn.
No,
Sorry.
I think we could probably close it. Now.
Okay, no call for public, so we will close the public comment. Any comment from this side of the dais?
Yeah, I apologize. I thought you'd closed it. Mick had told us when this meeting 2 weeks ago or 2 meetings ago happened and we got all those calls that we could not stop a call for comment because or content of the call. But what I was wondering is, can we stop a call if it is not germane to Colfax, which is the purpose of the public comment? So it's really a question for Mick.
The answer to that is yes, if the comments have to be on a subject that is within the subject matter jurisdiction of the city. That's very broad. Some of the comments we got during that public comment were addressed the city's ordinances and how they were biased and such as that. That's fair game for comment. Some of the comments were anti-Semitic. And they were all reprehensible. The problem with trying to stop that is that it would be within the council's authority, for example, to adopt a resolution condemning anti-Semitism. And if that is the case, then the opposite is true, and that type of public comment has to be allowed. So it's very difficult to get outside the subject matter jurisdiction of the city.
Basically, as soon as he brought up the ordinances, which you did at the beginning because you knew that. Yeah.
Now, they were very schooled. I'm just wondering if a minute goes by and it has nothing to do with our agenda or our business, we could shut it off, right?
Yeah, yes, you can. And it would probably be best in that circumstance for the mayor or whoever is running the meeting to say, Mr. or Ms. or Madam Speaker, what you're saying is not really germane to our meeting. Do you have anything to say that's germane to the city? And then move on from there. Again, very, very difficult to stop comment.
No, I get that. I'm really totally in favor of public comment, but just wondering what we could do if that was to happen again.
Any other comments from?
Council reports.
Okay, we're done with public comment. Move on to item 7, council reports. Working from the left to the right.
Well, they're not true. I got nothing, so you can say.
I have nothing to report tonight.
I have nothing for tonight.
Okay, well, I went to the VFW first responders, and I was about to take a picture of all the first responders. And just as I got my camera out, they were called down to Mineral Springs to the fire. So I didn't get a good picture of the first responders because they're such good responders. They vanished. Okay. I also went to a board of realtors meeting in Auburn where I gave a talk in front of 70 realtors, which and I boasted about all the wonderful things happening in Colfax, and I had to embellish a little bit. No, it was, they enjoyed hearing about Colfax and the uniqueness and the potential and the 2 new developments. Also, I went to the Placer Air Pollution Control Board meeting, and there they talk a lot about carbon credits, and it's nothing that directly affects us, but just being part of the meetings, you rub elbows with mayors and VIPs, so it's always worth going to those meetings early and staying late and mixing with the other members of the city council. Okay. To 7B, city manager report.
Yes, sir. So Mike Lucan here, your interim city manager, live from Washington, D.C. I have a few items to report to you this evening. I'm looking forward to the next couple of council meetings, just what's planned for those. On November 8th, we have a short consent agenda, followed by a very long council closed session for the purpose of conducting interviews with the top 2 or 3 candidates for the city manager position. I would advise both the public and the council that this may be a rather long night. So please plan accordingly. We'll be having probably roughly 1 hour interviews, and with the 2 or 3 candidates followed by a discussion on the actual selection for recommendation. So that will be a pretty long council meeting. And then on November 29th, we have, as you may recall, the council authorized a special council meeting. That council meeting is the purpose of that is one is to consider the proposed employment contract that we'll be working on with the new city manager candidate. And then we also have some items with the general plan update to take care of. And the reason we're putting those on there is because if we wait till the last meeting of the year, then if the council had changes, we wouldn't be able to make those by the end of the year as required. So we wanted to, give ourselves kind of an insurance policy and have a couple meetings if needed. Few other things. The council has been asking at prior meetings about the status of the Colfax Hotel. I'm happy to report that we got comments back on our plan check comments. So we're starting to interact with the owners of the hotel, and hopeful that project is going to begin moving forward very shortly. So we're very excited about that, and our building division and our city engineer are working on that project together. In terms of other good news, CDBG, the grant program to fund our road project coming up. We just got word today that we're going to be getting the state contract any second now, and to execute. Once we execute that, we have a very short time window to go out to bid for those projects. Hopefully, we'll be able to get that out to bid very shortly. We're going to be, Carl Moore, our city engineer, is going to be working very closely with our city clerk and also with our consultant who designed those plans, GHD, to get that out the door and then, award those bids. So we'll see if we can get that in December, if not in early January for sure. And then our, hope is to start construction in the spring. Wanted to report that in regards to Golden State Patient Care, GSPC, we are working with them on their state permit after the council changed the ordinance, and working with them on their permit and the overpayment of city fees that happened in the last few years, and the correction to the state sales tax to kind of bring that all into compliance. We've been working quite a bit, it's kind of the project that never ends, with the Caltrans roadway emergency repairs, and also striping project. There's actually a couple projects going on. We had some closures last night. We worked very closely with Caltrans, and hopefully, unless you all tell me different because I was out of town, they abided by the request to not close any 2 exits in Colfax. And they promised also to give very clear direction to motorists with changeable message signs. So I didn't hear anything last night, but hopefully that all kind of went off without a hitch. We may have some additional closures coming up. We'll just have to wait and see. Some other news about Caltrans, the longtime District 3 director, Amarjeet Benapal, who worked very closely with us on the roundabout project, has announced his retirement. It's good news for Mr. Benapal. He's had a lot of great service with Caltrans and certainly helped communities like Colfax, but he was a unique individual that really cut through the Caltrans red tape wherever he could, to get the money and the projects implemented. So he will be moving on into retirement come the end of the year. Council also asked me to continue to check on the status of the FEMA grant. Kind of gave the council an update last time about the fact that it's still with FEMA. Well, it's still with FEMA, but we are getting some free assistance from Placer County's lobbyist, Holland and Knight, back here and talk to them today, and they're going to do some additional checking and prodding and assist us at no charge with this under the county's wing of their lobbyist. Moving on the skate park, we are working with now with a consultant that that works with the construction materials industry to try to again get a better handle on the cost estimate for the project. So that project's still looking at, it's still kind of, I guess you would say, in limbo, pending us getting a real good solid engineer's estimate on that. And Carl Moore and I are working with the Green Machine and with the construction materials industry's skate park consultant to see if we can get a handle on that cost estimate. So stay tuned for more details on that. We have a couple of important inspections coming up from the state. We have our closed landfill inspection coming up on November 1st. That's very critical that we stay in compliance with the closure order that was implemented a number of years ago, making sure that we're in compliance with items related to groundwater and other site requirements that the state imposes on not only our landfill, but any closed landfill in California. We have another big inspection. Inspection is probably not the correct word. Compliance review with Cal Recycle on November 6th to make sure that we're in compliance with Senate Bill 1383, which is all the different recycling requirements that are imposed by the state of California. Those nice unfunded mandates from them to do all sorts of things in the community. The downtown ad hoc will be meeting on November 7th to go over the first draft of the study for the downtown Main Street connectivity report. It is unfortunately I have to report to the council and the ad hoc that it's taking a little bit longer to get some revisions done that Emmanuel Ursu and I requested of the consultant. So we'll be hopefully getting you that very shortly. Last couple things, I did attend the Cal LAFCO conference last week. It's the Association for the Local Agency Formation Commission. They have their annual conference. The purpose of going there was to basically glean information for the process that we'll need to go through for the Shady Glen project and annexation. And that's really important because we're trying to prepare a planning grant application right now with our consultant Wood Rogers, and we need to get a scope of work, which is all the items that we'll have to study and all the annexation process and all that down tight, because the last thing we want to do is to have a big impact on the city of Colfax's general fund for costs associated with that. So we're trying to get everything but the kitchen sink into that scope of work. Doesn't mean the state of California will approve everything, but if we don't put it in there, they won't fund it, or they won't consider funding it. And the worst case is they could say no, or they might say we might fund a portion of it. But it's important to get everything into there, and that LAFCO conference was very pivotal in helping us do that. Last thing, just mentioning, where I'm at, I'm back at the Placer Business Alliance, their annual conference back in Washington, D.C. to try to, influence Washington, D.C. to provide either help with regulatory relief with projects, or to provide funding for projects. And it's very good attendance from all over the county, both the business community and local government. Today we had a panel which I sat on with most of the other city managers. Well, not most. Actually, all the other city managers except for your former city manager, Wes Heathcock from Loomis. He had to go to the SCORE meeting that's being held right now in somewhere in Northern California, I think Santa Rosa. So he had a conflict. But anyway, we kind of talked about the challenges currently facing cities in Placer County and what we're trying to do to counteract that. So that's my long report. And again, sorry, I'm not there in person, but we'll be back for the next, be back early next week, and certainly for upcoming activities. So happy to report these items, and also if you have any questions, please let me know.
Any questions from any of the council members?
I just have a comment. Whatever you and the staff did to encourage and cooperate with the hotel builder, thank you very much for that, because that is transformative for Colfax, getting that going. And the second is that we are now starting out with granted money, CBDG money, to do work around Colfax. When does the next go around start? When does the next advanced planning start to happen for the next CBDG blank?
Well, that actually started, it has already started. And so the next application due date is March. And we're trying to look at some of our key roadways, one of which is Canyon Way, to see if there's a potential to apply for funding for that. That's key to a number of key businesses in the community, and also important to some of the subdivisions in the southern part of the city. So we're trying to look at the ability to apply for those funds. It turns out to be kind of a complicated project because Canyon Way is in the Caltrans right of way, and so it's not as easy as those other roads we just did. Not that they were easy, but the other roads in the current CDBG grant. So we're trying to weave and bob between Caltrans's rather bureaucratic process and get the project at least in the realm of possibility for those grant funds. So
Sean, any? I had one question. Every day I watch one or two TV shows that originate in Washington, D.C., where you are, and on news and the latest developments. And I always notice that in these interviews, in the background is a library of books from floor to ceiling. So my question to you is, are you really in Washington, D.C.?
I am, but I'm not in a place where there's a bunch of law books. I'm in my hotel room. So so all you see is a yellow wall behind me. So yeah, I don't have that or this great seal of the US or anything like that. So one other thing I was going to mention about the Colfax Hotel, I would actually give big kudos to Mayor Pro Tem Douglas, who actually talked to the developer of the Colfax Hotel and was also instrumental in getting things going. So
Thank you for your update, City Manager.
you're welcome.
Oh. Yeah. Item number 8, council business is absent, so we move on to item 9, good of the order. Sean, do you have anything good of the order? Larry, anything good or bad of the order?
No, not tonight.
Carolyn?
I just want to commend the chamber. They did 2 back-to-back events, their first time ever. They did the Oktoberfest right down here. And for a first-time event, they did okay. They had everybody that I saw down there was having a good time, had a blast. So I think they're still looking at doing it again next year. They're kind of, they got their feet wet with it and got some good ideas. And then we had a chili cook-off last weekend. And they had 5 people come out and enter chili, and we had over 50 people come out and taste it and voted. And it was really fun. We had some guys that literally were meeting in the parking lot and swapping cars and going their separate ways. And their comment was, this is the most fun we've ever had in Colfax. Because they literally stopped there and swap cars, and that's it. They've never spent any time in Colfax and they came over and hang out and they thought everybody was a hoot. So maybe they'll spend a little bit more time in Colfax, but the chamber's trying to put some things together, anything to get people out and in the community is always going to be a plus. And they've got a couple more ideas I know they're working on. So it was fun.
Okay, well, thank you. I also attended along with Caroline, and it was an excellent event. And then each person got to vote on one of the 5 vendors. And I pretended I was in Chicago and I voted twice. So, okay, the order. Now, public comment on go to the order. Do we have any public comment? Only good things.
No one has their hand raised on Zoom.
No public comment from the public. Okay, with that, we will declare the end of this session, and now we will move into closed session. And so if everybody would be so kind to get some fresh Colfax air and
Thanks, guys.
There isn't stick around.
Yeah, it's done.
Wanted to call for public comment.
Oh, yeah.
we don't have any comment on the closed session.
We do the comments after.
Yeah.
You have to report back. Right?
Call closed session order. Yeah, I guess
And
we
it doesn't look like anyone
Yeah.
is online with any public comment for closed session.
Gonna do a roll call.
okay. Now it's time for roll call.
Councilmember Loman,
Here.
Mayor Pro Tem Douglas,
Present
Councilmember Hilberg,
here.
Councilmember McCauley here, and Mayor Burris is absent.
Thank you.
Okay, now it's 10C.
You're right.
So now we're going to go ahead and end the
Session is over and we now open no reportable action. And now do we have any comment?
or just adjournment now.
Oh,
There
no
were
comment. Okay. Do I hear a motion to adjourn?
Motion.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, abstained? Motion carries. We're adjourned.
You guys.
Hi, everybody.